Welcome to United Way of King County's weekly live stream update. This week, we'll be talking about how connecting people to sustainable jobs and building their income helps them secure stable housing. Joining us today for our conversation are Maria Morales, Homeless Employment Specialist at Casa Latina, and Wayne Wilson, Homeless Impact Manager at United Way of King County. If you have questions for Maria or for Wayne, please be sure to type them into the chat window, and we'll try to get to all of them following our discussion. With that, I'll pass it over to Wayne to get us started.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Wayne Wilson coming at you live from Lake City, North County, Pinehurst, whatever you want to call it, Seattle, Washington on this fine afternoon. It's good to be here this afternoon with Maria Morales of Casa Latina. Maria, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Good. It's great to have you. Maria, we're interested today about United Way's employment work, and we know that Casa Latina has been a great partner in that work. Why don't you tell us a little bit, first of all, about Casa Latina and the overall program there?
Of course. Yeah, so thanks everybody and welcome everybody as well who's joining us today. So Casa Latina has been since the 90s a workers' rights organization. Along the way, we advocate for wage theft, domestic violence, and the Bill of Rights, and also education we advocate for those immigrants, Latinx community in the Latino community, regardless of their immigration status. And recently, in the last couple of years, we also have the program of homeless employment.
Okay. What is your current work when it comes to homeless employment right now?
So currently, my work is actually very rewarding. I get to meet different members of the Latino community who come to Casa Latina or by word of mouth, which is usually what people have found me in class and how they found Casa Latina. How they are able to connect with me. I see different cases every week, and I'm able to, with an employer, or I can also the future employer, new job, permanent job, whether it's part-time or full-time.
Okay. What types of jobs do people look for? What types of jobs do you help people get?
So the job varies. Like I've mentioned to you before, I make sure that I tell my clients and prospective employees to different companies that there are no limitations. I try to educate the employers with what homelessness means in King County and outside the county as well. And so to be able to give a better opportunity to those who are searching, we have employment from house cleaning, any domestic work, construction. We've had some people that are in clerical positions, from basic, what you would call an entry-level position, all the way for proficient jobs.
For people who are listening right now or watching, if someone is in need for getting somebody to work with them on a temporary basis or a longer-term basis, which is really what your program is about, how do they connect to work right now?
Certainly. So, and sort of on a side note, Casa Latina does have their day work program. However, on my program, I like to connect people to longer term jobs, whether it's part-time or full-time. I have some people that have 2 or 3 part-time jobs. And the way to connect is they would email myself, Maria, mmorales@casalatina.org, or contact me directly. And we would be able to find them somebody who would be a right fit. We have, on a weekly basis, I have at least 5 to 10 people, sometimes more, jobs in all around the county and outside. They live within King County and also outside the county.
I know a few months ago, King County or Seattle was in a place of 95, 96% employment, which means we only had a 3 to 4 to 5% number of unemployment. So now that we're in this new environment, what is it like for you to interact with people? And how many people are you seeing actually come through or around your environment these days?
Yeah, so I want to mention also in making aware, as I consider myself a homeless advocate.
Thank you.
It is I take this as a very personal mission as well. And though the unemployment rate may be low or may have been low at some point, very difficult for somebody who is tagged or considered or viewed as homeless to find a job. So it is my job, and I do it with lots of energy. It is my job to try to advocate for them so they're able to get a better job, not just a temporary job. Right now, I am seeing more people that became homeless during this pandemic, or people that are in the verge of losing their homes. So I'm still considering that as a candidate. I went from getting maybe 10 people, 20 people a week, 20 to 40 to maybe 40 to 60. So we are inundated with phone calls. As time has progressed and people are going back to work, it's less, but it's definitely strong still.
Okay. You spoke a little bit about the relationship of housing and employment. We know at United Way, we have two programs that kind of work together. We have Jobs Connected, which is the program that you work with. And we also have Streets to Home, which is a diversion housing type project. In your work, how do those two, or how does that type of work go together? Do you get housing first, then a job, or job first, then housing? It's kind of that chicken and egg scenario, right?
That is correct. And I think both go together, and I don't know what the order would be, but it's definitely one can't go without the other. Most people I can find somebody a job, but then they have to go to work. If they live in a shelter or they don't have permanent housing, they can't shower or get ready to go to that job. And so we find ourselves struggling to find that person a home so they can maintain the permanent job to get them off the street. And if we do that, then back on the cycle. I think having a job helps the person have more confidence and also view life in a different way. Though not everybody will succeed 100%. We have a really high success rate, especially in the people that we serve through Casa Latina. However, the housing seems to always be sort of the catch for some of our members.
Do you have particular areas of the county where you're housing people, or are people generally having to find housing anywhere, wherever they could find somewhere to live?
Initially, I've had people that have traveled 2 hours. And so you see that people, I do have a clear understanding that some people, 90% of the people that we serve are very committed to finding that job. Other people have other challenges that may take a little bit more work so they can get to where they want to be. And some have to be very, very open-minded about this. We may not be able to help on the long term, but 90% of them are able to do that. It's just, it doesn't matter where they find housing. I reach out to regular, and by say regular, just regular people that own homes that will rent an apartment or will rent an in-law, mother-in-law, or just a room rental, and that helps greatly. But it's very important for them to find housing so they can keep that job, and they need that job so they can find housing.
Right.
Simultaneously, otherwise the balance kind of goes.
Right. One of the things we're doing as United Way is to constantly be aware of the needs of people around housing and employment. So you could consider it an announcement on this broadcast, I guess. Starting July 1st, we'll be working towards a partnership with an organization called Housing Connector. And what they do is they take people who need housing, who we could then refer, because they have employment or because they need housing. But our preference is that they have employment, they need housing, and then this organization has the capacity and knows the number of units that are available to quickly move people in housing. Because we believe as United Way that it's important for people to be able to attain housing as fast as possible as one of our goals. I guess my next question is, when you're able to get people in employment, what type of dollars are they working for? What's the average wage that people are looking for? And how much do they really need to sustain a life here in King County?
Well, that's very difficult. Most people are making minimum wage. And sometimes people go work outside of the county. That means they need transportation. So they'll have to ride a bus. They'll have to have a bus pass to get there. Some places require that they have a car. So it usually try to keep people closer to where they can go to work. Right now, people are making minimum wage. The average, I would say, is about $17 an hour for the fine. It is very difficult to try to sell somebody on a lower wage, even though it's permanent work. Though with this, I do a little bit of education and maybe a little bit of coaching with everybody I have, and I let them know that once you start working, you can always work up to the amount that you want, but you need to be able to find that job, that permanent job, to keep you there. And we've had a lot of people that have started a minimum wage and now they're making $20 an hour. Wow, it's not all the time, but it does happen. Or people that start days a week and now they're working full time. At this times when there's lots of people that don't have work.
Right. Speaking of lots of people who don't have work, we know that a lot of it right now is because of the current environment that we're in. While there's some social unrest, it all began back in February with COVID-19. How would you say that COVID-19 or the result of the virus being around all of us is affecting your work and affecting Casa Latina right now?
Well, I think, unfortunately for everybody, for me, my workflows increased quite a bit from people that are not members of Casa Latina or members of a program. So I'm having to do a little bit more intakes, and we're using technology to connect with people. Sometimes I've seen people at a park at a distance. We need that connection, so I'm able to meet somebody in person and see who they are, and able to send them to a job. Otherwise, I think we're seeing a surge in jobs. And so I'm trying to use the jobs that have the new jobs, such as production, things like that, for mask making. Work there. So I've tried to use that to gain that opportunity for them. And we're working right now. Otherwise, it's very difficult for Casa Latina, for the rest of my team, and to be able to help people. And I think that's what we're trying to stay positive and take all the precautions. But we are missing that human interaction.
That's why it's good to see you face to face. We talk on the phone all the time or email, but that human interaction is so very important. When we talk about human interaction, there's always that issue of personal protective equipment. How has Casa Latina dealt with the need for personal protective equipment during this time? Are you able to share any out in the community? Are you able to use a portion of your funds to help people get what they need as they enter different work environments every day?
Yes. So while we're asking the employers when they go to day labor, and also when people come through here, I do ask if they have protection for the employees or the candidates to use. I am also aware that United Way has donated masks, and we will continue to ask for your support in that way for our day workers. And every time they go to the day work center, if the person does not have a mask that they already, whether they have a reusable or something like that, or if they do not have a mask at all, we give them before they leave to go to that job, because we want to make sure that they are protected. And also we offer that to the people that are hiring them, that we're taking care of our members.
Right. You're right. I mean, United Way has a program through its volunteer department, volunteer portal, where we've been able to procure about 1,500 handmade masks so far. I try to drop them off always on Thursdays. Do you need any more? I'll be out and about tomorrow.
Absolutely. We're always happy to accept the help.
All right. Well, you won't be there early when I get there, but there's always a nice gentleman that's always at the building who receives them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've also been able to, I think a couple of weeks ago, we had some food that we were able to share. So, right now we're all in this together. And so our desire is to share whatever resources we have with Casa Latina and with every one of our service providers, so that on the back end, we can say we survived this whole thing together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to COVID-19 also, do you have any, you could say of a victory story or some great story that you could tell us about someone that you were to help as you waded through these waters in the last few weeks?
Yeah, so we have had people that have been evicted. And interestingly enough, I was able to place them in housing and find them a job. It's a family. I say them because there's a few in the family. And we never know who's going to end up being homeless. It's often been said that we're 2 paychecks away from being homeless in the state of Washington. And the effects of this, there's lots of people that are not able to receive funding. And that's where Casa Latina steps in and helps everybody regardless of their immigration status. So we're to provide a little bit of help, a little bit of relief for those who are not able to receive unemployment or other helps by government, by the state at this time. So I was very happy. I've seen lots of shows of people helping each other out in the community. And again, for me, being able to place somebody in a job and a home, it's definitely a win, especially in the.
I think often when I speak to people, there's a tendency to talk in very negative terms. That's why right now I try to be very hopeful about what might happen tomorrow, hopeful and looking forward to a vaccine, hopeful for how people are now going back to work, back to sharing more with their families, all with social distancing, but knowing that people need this sense of connectedness to get together. What gives you hope during this time? What do you look forward to in the days to come?
I'm looking forward to people coming together and being and continuing to being aware of the homeless community. I did hear somebody say before, well, they're homeless, so they're already used to being in the position that they are right now. I take that very personal, and I say they need us the most, and they need the most support. And I think if we come together, making and continuing to make this, Seattle or King County or the state aware of what the needs are, that we will continue to work together for, the homeless community and the community in general that are, they're facing all the new challenges. And I'm very hopeful for that.
What about in terms of the future of work? As you watch people work in very different ways right now, what do you think work will look like come February or March when things start to open up even more?
There's been talks that maybe there'll be a second wave or not. So I'm telling people that have jobs right now to be mindful, to take care of their jobs, to be consistent so they don't face this again. I think the way we work is going to change completely. I think we'll have more flexibility for us who do the work to be in many different places. And it's something that I've been advocating for a long time, because I can't have a Skype conversation or a Zoom conversation. There's so many ways to communicate, and definitely people want to see you, especially if you're asking them questions about their personal life. And I think once we have people access technology, we can still continue to connect with a broader audience as well, which this application does. So I think jobs may change, but we're going to have new jobs. I mean, there's new manufacturing. Now we're making masks. There's always something new that comes up. And In my case, I'll stay very vigilant of that to make sure we hang on to that and see if we can put more people to work.
Now, do you see any technological needs or technological changes that people have based on this new work environment?
I think at least here, to be able to communicate, having a smartphone, and not everybody has access to a phone, to a smartphone anyway, so they're able to see either myself or somebody else or a caseworker. I think that would be a great thing. I think we're in that stage where we should be able to help people, to provide people somewhere where they can communicate without having to leave their home or somewhere safe.
Yeah, safe, and the word safe is taking on a new meaning these days, right? Yeah. Hand sanitizer, masks, being careful not to cough, being careful where we go and what we touch. When you talk to workers these days, how safe do they feel when they're working?
I think, to be honest, and this is what I've heard from people, the people that are very scared to go to work, they're just not working. They're not calling, but I think, to be honest, necessity and the need to have food on the table and they need to provide for their family completely outweighs their fear. And I think that they are, unfortunately, not everybody like us is able to sometimes work from home. So I think they're willing to take any risk they can in order to continue to provide and staying safe. A lot of them are happy because they're being provided personal protection so they can work. But I think right now everybody's so concerned with the information that they're receiving, that they just, regarding finances and things like that, that they just want to get to work. They just want to go to work, and they're willing to do that. And it's scary and sad in a way, but our community is very resilient, and I think they're willing to do what they can to survive.
Speaking of our community, when you go out to community, as you do outreach work, what is something that you're seeing that we should all know about?
I think that there's a lot more people that are in need than we think. I think that lots of people don't know that they're homeless. And I think that reaching out to either United Way or organizations like Casa Latina and other people in the Job Connects is definitely useful. Some people don't know where to look for workers, and not necessarily just us, but other people in the Job Connect area, in the circle. And I think that's where they can get more education about what the work that we do and what they can do to stay within, to help the community.
Great. Well, this has been a great conversation. I think I'm gonna turn it over to Jarrett, who might have some questions for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Maria. We do have a couple of questions coming in from the audience. Kate M asks, what can people do to support Casa Latina during these times?
Currently, I would say there's many ways people can help, whether if it's providing a job lead. I'm always happy with that. And also financial help is always welcome. They can go directly to the Casa Latina website and either contact somebody directly through there. I know some people like to, donate directly to a person. Again, contact Casa Latina, and we definitely are happy to take those financial donations.
Thank you, Maria. Can you share a little bit about what you hear from people that you've successfully connected to permanent employment? How does it impact their lives?
Yeah, I think it's hope, and it's a very, very strong message. I have dealt with people who have been drug addicts, who are recovering alcoholics, and in different ways. We help people regardless of their immigration status, and I think being heard is one of the biggest things. Knowing that they can go someplace and connect with somebody that's going to listen to them. They have a place to go at Casa Latina. They have a place where somebody will what may to me and you could be a simple question, and for them that is just a very thankful sign of relief. And I have seen that happen in the last few days. Also, when they receive food, food vouchers, masks, or any support that they're able to receive, they're very thankful, and they are hoping for more support, maybe in outside of King County as well.
Thank you, Maria. We do have one more question from the chat box on YouTube. Does Casa Latina do advocacy work or push for policy changes?
So they have been working. Right now, there's a few things that are happening. We do that. We have been working on the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights. We also do advocate work for wage theft. So, and again, this is for some of the employers who, the employees who haven't gotten paid, and things like that. So we are always constantly doing advocacy work.
Thank you very much. Well, Wayne and Maria, we've got about 3 minutes left here. Before I read us off for the day, I'll give it back to you and ask if you have any parting words for our viewers.
Go ahead, Maria.
Sure. I would like to invite those who are viewing this or will view it later on to take a look at Casa Latina's website, to take a moment and think about what homelessness, or if homelessness has touched your life in any way, to take a moment and see if you have the means to help, or if you want to get involved. We're always looking for people that are wanting to volunteer, and we welcome that. Homelessness is continuing to be a very, very big part of King County, unfortunately, but I am certain that we can provide help and direction. There's lots of people that are willing to do the work if we just give them a hand. And I always tell people this could be, we may be the last resource they have. And so I want to make sure we always have our doors open to receive them if they need our help.
And I'll just quickly say that it's just a privilege to work for United Way of King County. It's a privilege to do the work in particular that I do because it helps people meet their basic needs. The department I work in is specifically responsible for people to end homelessness, to get employment, and to be involved in helping them have food security. So those are the basic needs that people have. And those are the things that I'm passionate about. So again, it's a privilege to serve. It's a privilege to be here. And I'm just grateful for all that I received from United Way.
Well, Wayne and Maria, thank you. An absolute pleasure to listen to your conversation and to work with you, Wayne. You always brighten everybody's day at United Way when we get to work with you, even if it is via a Zoom call. And thank you for your work and dedication to help meet the critical needs, both Maria and Wayne, of so many, both before and now as we're seeing the needs grow due to the impact of COVID-19. Thank you also to our viewers for your questions and for continuing to be active and learning about ways you can make an impact for good in our community. We hope you'll join us next week when we talk about how the community is working to break the cycle of multi-generational poverty by supporting college students so they can stay enrolled and finish their education. We'll be joined by Leanne O'Connell with Seattle Public Schools and United Way's College Success and Housing Stability Manager, Charlotte Gavell. You can watch our live stream every Wednesday at noon on our YouTube channel. Learn more about how United Way and our partners are addressing critical needs head on and how you can give to the Community Relief Fund or volunteer to help at uwkc.org.